seriously, I promise, it's really me.
Everyone, so in this tutorial I'm going to teach you how to recreate this Batman look. Now I had to film this look twice. The first time I just did it, took a shower, came out of the shower, got the memory card, put it in my computer, and I realized it looked really funny because I put a bald cap on, and obviously Batman wears a mask, but the bald cap made me look bald, even after painting it black, so I just kind of looked like a bald Batman. It looked really funny, so I just ended up repainting the suit on and putting this mask on. So in the tutorial, the suit is going to look a little bit different from right now, but it's still essentially the same thing. You'll see me in the tutorial paint on the mask, but you know, if you're going to recreate this look or you want to cosplay it or something, you're going to obviously want to buy yourself an actual Batman mask. Or you can make yourself a mask, but whatever you do, you don't really want to use a bald cap because Batman's mask does not lie skin tight on his face, and if it did, it would make his head look really, really small. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up if you like it, and make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. You'll be notified every single time I upload, and I'm going to have lots and lots of different looks that are just like this one. Not Batman over and over again, but different comic book and video game looks. So now, let the tutorial begin. Okay, to start the look off, you're going to use a dark gray face paint as the base color for the Batman mask and the cape. You want to use something that is a dark gray color, not anything that is darker than that, like no black face paints, because if you do, you're not going to be able to add detailing. It won't show over the black face paint, so you want to make sure you use something lighter than black as the base color over here. Like I said, it's really hard to get a realistic looking Batman mask when you're painting it on, and put it on a bald cap really just makes it look funny. Like in pictures it might look okay if I edit it, but if I'm going to wear this out in public or I'm going to cosplay it, I'm going to want to buy a mask or, you know, make one. So if you plan on cosplaying it, you're going to want to buy or make a mask. Painting it on is just going to look a little bit funny. If your eyes tend to water and you don't want to apply the paint around the eyes because you know it's just going to come right off, you can go ahead and use a black eyeshadow or a creamy black eyeshadow base, which is what I used. I used NYX Jumbo Pencil in black, and just apply that to your eyelid and your lower lash line to prevent water streaks streaming down your face. Now use a black face paint to start painting on details, and this is exactly why I told you to use a dark gray paint as your base, because if you would have used a black paint as your base and then you tried painting on details with the black paint, you aren't going to see anything. So that's why you want to make sure you use a dark gray paint as the base and then black paint to detail. Of course, you're going to want to reference a suit of Batman to make sure that you are getting all the details correct, and you can even use the black paint to shade a little bit, and then you can use a black eyeshadow to shade around the eyes, because you want to really make sure that the eyes are really dark, just because that area on Batman's very dark, because obviously the mask is casting a shadow around the eyes. Most of the shading you're going to do with this look you want to do with a black eyeshadow, so it's softer and it doesn't look as harsh. This is not a very comic-y looking paint that I'm doing. I want it to look a little bit more realistic than just like a flat comic painting, so that's why I'm doing a lot of shading using the eyeshadow. Make sure you shade around the inside of the mouth area and you blend that eyeshadow a little bit toward your skin to create that shadow, because like I said, it's a mask that is lying on top of Batman, so there's going to be a shadow anywhere his actual skin is showing through. I'm using black, but if you want something that is softer, you can use a gray eyeshadow or a dark brown eyeshadow. After I've done that, I start highlighting, and when I highlight, I mix a little bit of black in with my white face paint so the white paint isn't too harsh, and I make sure there's not too much of that color on my brush, and then I start highlighting here and there around the mask and the cape. When you highlight, you want to highlight areas you want to look more raised, so that includes the apples of the cheek, around the mouth, on the forehead. You also want to use the highlight to create some wrinkles, especially around the cape, and any area that you really want some shading to stand out. You apply this paint right beside it, so the shadows and shading and wrinkles all really pop out. So if you are a guy, you might not have to do any of this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a concealer similar to my skin tone, and I'm going to apply that to the skin that is showing around my mouth and then to my lips to help cancel out the rosy lip tone I, naturally have. And then I go ahead and I use a concealer that's darker than my natural skin tone to add some features and details that are a little bit more manly, so kind of like Ben Affleck's face, I guess. So I kind of drew on a butt chin, and I made my jawline and chin more prominent. I also made my dimples a little bit more prominent, and I used that foundation to create a 5 o'clock shadow. So I just apply it above my lips, and then I kind of rub it out, so there is a shadow there, but it's not a full-on mustache. Now for the fun stuff, the actual suit part, which is like my favorite thing to paint. So you're going to take that gray color that you used as the base color for the cape and mask, and you're going to use it to outline the shape of the bat. Again, very important to look at a reference picture for it. I don't have as much room on my body to work with as Ben Affleck, because obviously he's wearing a suit and he's more muscular than I am. So I had to do with what my body naturally looks like and paint it the way I saw fit. If you think you see my nipples, you don't. I've got masking tape over them, so When you paint the inside of the bat, you want to use a gray color that is lighter than the one you just used. Again, just like on the cape, you need something light in that area so any details you paint on show. There's going to be a lot of details we're going to be painting on, just little details using a white paint. So it's important that you do not skip this step and decide, hey, I'm just going to use a black face paint, or I'm just going to use a color that's similar to the color I'm going to use to paint on the stitching. Otherwise, like I said, it's not going to show. I know I kept calling the mask part that's on the neck a cape earlier, but this is the part where you're actually painting on the cape. You're going to use that gray color to paint the outside of the cape, and then you're going to fill the inside of the cape with a lighter gray. You want to use a lighter gray, one that's lighter than the mask color and the one you use to outline the outside of it, because you want to show this is where the cape starts and ends, and this is where the mask begins. So you can see that line right there that differentiates the two. When you start painting on the rest of the suit, you're going to want to mix a color together that is lighter than any of the gray paints you have applied thus far. Again, just use your black and white face paint. I used a little bit more white than black to create this color. While filming this, I was watching Tarzan, so there's a few parts that you might see me looking a little bit concerned, and that's mainly when Tarzan's family gets close to dying, and then when Tarzan's dad actually dies, which is, it's not like Batman at all, but it's like watching a death in the family, but Tarzan style with monkeys. You know what's weird to me about Disney movies? I know people get really concerned with Disney princesses and they're like, oh, they're setting an unrealistic expectations to young girls. And I'm like, aren't you more concerned with the fact that a lot of the parents in Disney movies die? Like, they drop like flies. Like, rest in peace, Mufasa. But yeah, I always like wonder about that. They just all always die. As a child, that concerned me way more than, oh, am I gonna just bump into Prince Charming on the street and then just fall in love with him? I mean, for real. I have more of a shot of like my parents drowning in a ship than I do bumping into Prince Charming on the street and just like automatically start making out. Moving on, we're going to start painting the little details on the suit. Now I'm going to call these details stitching. I don't know if the actual material for the suit is cloth, sorry. Use a white paint to paint on the main lines in the suit. So that would be where your shoulders are, along the sides of your body, and on your tricep. Once you've got this painted on, you're going to start detailing the stitching. So you paint lines on first. Each area of the body has lines that are going in certain directions. Most of the lines below the chest and on the side of the bat are running diagonal. Above the bat, they are horizontal, and on the arms, the lines run vertically, not vertical. You're going to end up painting small little lines near every line that you painted previously, and this is going to be the stitching. You could be very, very detailed here if you like, but I wasn't. I just painted small little lines near everything to create that like stitched look. It's not really time consuming. Honestly, it looks a little bit time consuming, but it really isn't. Of course, you're going to want to stare at a picture, like I said, while doing this, and it's very important for this. It depends what picture you're staring at. You know, for some of the promo pics for the movie, the suit doesn't look as detailed, and then in other pictures, it does. If you're looking at one of the toys for it, it looks like a certain color, like the gray might be a little bit lighter or a little bit darker, and there might be detailing on it, there might not be. So it just depends on what picture you're actually staring at when you're recreating this look. I was actually looking at 3 different pictures, but I'm gonna have to go back and find them so I can link them down below for you guys, because I actually did this tutorial over a month ago, so I'm not positive what pictures I looked at exactly, but I'm gonna have to search it, and when I do, I'll have them linked down below for you guys. So when you start painting the stitching on the bat, you want to make sure first you use that white face paint to just kind of outline the edges of the bat to help highlight it. So this is going to help the bat look a little bit more lifted. And then when you start painting the inside of the bat and the stitching that's there, you want to mix a little bit of black paint in with the white face paint so it's a little bit darker than the white stitching on the suit itself. The reason you're going to do this is if you apply that white paint directly onto the bat, it's going to blend the bat in too much with the rest of the suit. You want the bat to look a little bit lifted. You want it to look a little bit different from the suit that's like behind it, or the material that is behind it. So you want to make sure that you don't choke, first of all. Okay, you want to make sure you don't choke, and also you just want to make sure that the stitching color is a little bit lighter than the color you used to paint the stitching on the main part of the suit. Okay, makes sense? I don't know, but I'm choking. Now go back with your black paint and use it to define some areas on the suit here and there, not too much of it, otherwise it's going to distract from all the detailing that you just did. Once you've done that, you want to use a black eyeshadow to start shading the bat. You want to shade around the bat to make it look lifted. So you just apply that black eyeshadow to the edges of the bat and then you blend it out onto the suit, but not too much, because if you blend it too much, it's just going to look like a total mess. You can see it here if you look really close. I don't even think you have to look closely, but when you're blending in that black eyeshadow, things start to look lifted. They start to look a little bit more like they are protruding from the suit. Make sure you use the eyeshadow to shade below the cape and mask as well to help define those areas and make it look like a cape is actually lying over your shoulder. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and let me know in the comments below what characters would you like to see me recreate next. I'll see you guys tomorrow with a Wonder Woman tutorial. Take care. Bye.